Taiwan Park stood at the edge of the small beach, his research equipment scattered around him. The wind blew strongly against his face as he recorded data about the island's coastal patterns. This remote island was his favorite research spot, far from people, peaceful, and full of interesting marine life. He looked up from his notebook when something caught his eye. Out in the choppy water, something was splashing wildly. Taiwan squinted against the bright sunlight. It looked like a large animal struggling to stay above water. "What is that?" he muttered to himself, grabbing his binoculars. Through the lenses, he could make out spotted fur. It looked almost like a leopard, which made no sense at all. Leopards weren't native to this part of the world, and certainly not to tiny islands miles from any mainland. Without thinking twice, Taiwan dropped his equipment and ran to his small research boat. The animal was clearly drowning, and he couldn't stand by and watch. He pushed the boat into the water, jumped in, and started the motor. The waves rocked his small boat dangerously as he approached the struggling creature. As he got closer, he could see it was indeed cat-like, with beautiful spotted fur. But something wasn't right. The creature's movements seemed strange, and its coloring was odd. "Hang on," Taiwan called out, though he knew animals couldn't understand human speech. Still, it felt right to offer some encouragement. The creature's movements were getting weaker. Taiwan maneuvered his boat as close as he dared, then reached out with a large net. The animal was heavy, much heavier than he expected. With great effort, he managed to pull it halfway over the side of the boat. "Come on," he grunted, using all his strength to pull the waterlogged animal aboard. Finally, with one last heave, the creature tumbled into the boat. Taiwan nearly fell backward from the effort. The animal lay still, water dripping from its fur. Taiwan leaned forward cautiously. It was still breathing, but its breaths were shallow and quick. "What are you?" he whispered. Now that the creature was in his boat, Taiwan could see it wasn't a normal leopard at all. For one thing, it had 6 legs instead of 4. 2 extra limbs were folded against its body between the normal front and back legs. Its spotted coat wasn't the typical yellowish color of leopards either. The spots had strange geometric shapes, and parts of the fur had a distinct purple tint that no earth animal possessed. But most striking were its face and head. Though its eyes were closed, Taiwan could tell they were unusually large. The shape of its skull was subtly wrong for a big cat, with a slightly higher forehead and different jaw structure. "You're not from around here, are you?" Taiwan said softly as he turned the boat back toward shore. He worked quickly once they reached land, constructing a makeshift stretcher to carry the creature to his research station. The small building was primarily designed for marine research, but it had basic medical supplies and enough space to care for the strange animal. Inside, Taiwan cleared his examination table and carefully placed the creature on it. Its breathing seemed slightly stronger now, which was a good sign. He gently dried its fur with towels, careful not to press too hard on any areas that might be injured. As he worked, Taiwan's scientific mind raced with questions. This animal couldn't possibly be from Earth. An alien creature. It seemed unbelievable, yet the evidence was right in front of him. 6 limbs, purple-tinged fur, geometric patterns. No Earth evolution could explain these features. The creature remained unconscious as afternoon turned to evening. Taiwan checked its vital signs regularly, though he wasn't sure what was normal for this species. The heartbeat seemed strong, and its breathing had stabilized. As he gathered more medical supplies, Taiwan felt something strange, a vibration coming from the creature's body. At first, he thought it might be some kind of seizure, but the animal seemed peaceful. The vibration was gentle and rhythmic, almost like a purr but deeper and more mechanical. "What's happening to you?" Taiwan whispered, placing his hand gently on the creature's side. The vibration passed through his fingers, not unpleasant, but definitely alien. Night fell, and Taiwan kept watch by the dim light of his desk lamp. He was too fascinated and concerned to sleep. Around midnight, something extraordinary happened. The creature's fur began to emit a soft blue glow. At first, Taiwan thought he was imagining it, but soon the glow grew stronger, illuminating the room with gentle blue light. The glow revealed intricate patterns in the fur that hadn't been visible before, swirls and lines that seemed almost like writing or symbols. They pulsed slightly with the creature's breathing. Taiwan stood transfixed, his mouth slightly open in amazement. In all his years as a biologist, he had never seen anything so beautiful or impossible. Then, without warning, the creature's eyes opened. Taiwan gasped and took a step back. The eyes were unlike any animal eyes he had ever seen. They were large, as he had noticed earlier, but now he could see they were a deep, glowing amber with vertical pupils that shifted and adjusted like camera lenses. But what shocked him most was the clear intelligence behind those eyes, an awareness and comprehension that no Earth animal possessed. The creature looked directly at Taiwan, its gaze steady and evaluating. There was no fear in those eyes, only curiosity and something that looked remarkably like gratitude. In that moment, Taiwan knew his life would never be the same again. Whatever this being was, wherever it had come from, their meeting was no accident. Something profound had just begun. Taiwan stared at the strange cat-like creature on his examination table. Its glowing eyes studied him with clear intelligence. He took another step back, his mind racing with questions. "You saved me," a voice suddenly said inside his head. Taiwan jumped and looked around the empty room. Who said that? The creature's eyes narrowed slightly, almost like it was smiling. The voice in Taiwan's mind spoke again. "I did. Thank you for pulling me from the water." Taiwan's legs felt weak. He grabbed the edge of a nearby desk to steady himself. "You can speak. How is this possible?" "I am not speaking with my mouth," the creature explained. "I am sending my thoughts directly to your mind. My species communicates this way naturally." Taiwan slowly lowered himself onto a stool, never taking his eyes off the six-legged being. "What? Who are you?" The creature shifted into a more comfortable position, wincing slightly from what must have been sore muscles after nearly drowning. "My name is Daho. I am a scout from a civilization called the Feline Collective." "A scout?" Taiwan repeated. "You mean you're from space? Another planet?" "Yes," Daho confirmed. "My ship malfunctioned during entry into your atmosphere. I had to make an emergency landing in your ocean, but my craft was damaged beyond repair." Taiwan ran his hands through his hair, trying to process this information. An actual alien. Here, in his small research station. "I think I need some water," he muttered. Daho watched as Taiwan poured himself a glass of water with shaking hands. The biologist drank it all in one go. "I understand this is surprising for you," Daho said gently in Taiwan's mind. "But I mean you no harm. In fact, I owe you my life." Over the next few hours, as night deepened outside the small station, Daho explained more about himself and his mission. Taiwan listened, occasionally interrupting with questions, his scientific curiosity gradually overcoming his shock. "Our civilization has been observing Earth for nearly 50 of your years," Daho explained. "We have satellites in orbit that are designed to be undetectable by your technology." "But why?" Taiwan asked. "Why watch us in secret?" Daho's fur rippled with changing patterns of blue light. "Your species is unusual, fascinating to us. I was sent to gather more detailed information." "Unusual how?" Taiwan's scientific pride was slightly wounded. "What's so strange about humans?" "Not strange," Daho corrected. "Special. Most advanced civilizations in our galaxy evolved from solitary predator species. They developed intelligence as a tool for hunting more effectively, not for cooperation." Daho stretched his 6 limbs carefully, testing each one. "These civilizations tend to be highly territorial, aggressive, and primarily concerned with their own interests. They rarely show concern for other species." Taiwan frowned. That sounds like plenty of humans too. But not all, Daho countered. Not even most. Humans are unusual because you evolved as social creatures who care for each other. More remarkably, you extend that care to other species. Daho's mental voice conveyed a sense of wonder. You keep animals as companions simply because you enjoy their company. You create protected areas for endangered species. Some of you dedicate your lives to helping animals that will never benefit you directly. He fixed his amber eyes on Tadwan. Like you did for me today. You risked your life to save what you thought was a drowning animal. Tadwan hadn't thought about it that way. I couldn't just let you drown. Exactly, Daho said. That instinct is precisely what makes humans remarkable to us. In most of the galaxy, such behavior would be considered irrational. Taiwan digested this information, feeling both proud of humanity and disturbed by what it suggested about other civilizations in space. So you've been watching us for 50 years, he said finally. Why haven't you made contact before now? Daho's mental voice grew more serious. That has been a subject of great debate among our leaders. Some believe you are not technologically ready. Others worry about how contact might affect your cultural development. The aliens' glowing patterns dimmed slightly, but there are deeper concerns as well. Not all spacefaring civilizations would welcome humans into the galactic community. Taiwan felt a chill. What do you mean? Your capacity for cross-species empathy is rare, and some find it threatening, Daho explained. They fear what might happen if humans spread throughout the galaxy, forming alliances based on mutual care rather than mutual benefit. Are we in danger? Tadwan asked directly. Daho didn't answer immediately. Finally, he said, the feline collective has been protecting Earth, in our own way. My mission was partly to assess current human development. And what will you tell your leaders now? That at least one human was willing to save a drowning alien without knowing what I was, Daho replied. That counts for a great deal in my assessment. Taiwan smiled despite himself. I'm glad I passed your test, even if I didn't know I was taking one. It wasn't a test, Daho corrected. It was an accident. But sometimes accidents reveal more truth than planned observations. As dawn approached, Tadwan found himself growing more comfortable with the alien presence. Daho's mental voice was calm and thoughtful, and there was something almost familiar about his cat-like appearance despite the obvious differences. What happens now? Taiwan asked finally. Will your people come looking for you? Eventually, Daho said. But first, there is something important I must tell you. Something about why I was really sent to Earth. Daho suddenly grew tense. His fur patterns shifted from calm blue to sharp, pulsing red. There's something I need to tell you, he said urgently into Taiwan's mind. My mission wasn't just research. My ship contains critical information, data that proves Earth is in danger. Taiwan felt his heart rate quicken. What kind of danger? Before Daho could answer, a high-pitched sound came from a small device attached to one of his middle legs. The alien's eyes widened. We're being scanned, Daho said, his mental voice tight with fear. The hunters have found me. Hunters. Taiwan moved to the window of his small research station and peered out at the dawn sky. What hunters? The Sky Dominion, Daho explained, struggling to stand on all 6 legs. They are the reason we have kept Earth hidden. They believe empathetic species like yours contaminate the natural evolution of the galaxy. Taiwan saw something moving above the beach, a small metallic object hovering in the air. It was shaped like a flattened disc with a glowing red center, unlike any drone or aircraft he had ever seen. What is that thing? He asked, ducking away from the window. A hunter drone, Daho said. They trace unusual energy signatures. My emergency beacon must have alerted them. Taiwan watched as the drone moved in a careful pattern over the beach, as if searching for something. What does it want? First, to find me, Daho said. Then to find my ship and destroy any evidence of the Sky Dominion's plans. What plans? Daeho limped to Taiwan's side. They want to eliminate your species before you develop space travel. They'd done it before to other empathetic civilizations. Taiwan felt sick. The drone outside continued its search pattern, moving closer to the research station. We must retrieve my ship's data core, Daeho insisted. It contains proof of their plans, evidence I was taking back to the feline collective. Without it, my people won't be able to act in time to protect Earth. Your ship crashed in the ocean, Taiwan reminded him. How can we reach it? It's not far offshore. The water is deep there, but not too deep. Taiwan thought quickly. I have diving equipment, but that drone will see us if we go outside. The alien's eyes narrowed in concentration. The drone can detect my energy signature, but it doesn't know about you yet. It's programmed to find technology that doesn't match Earth's development level. So it's looking for you and your ship, Taiwan said, understanding. Not humans. Exactly. But once it finds my ship, it will destroy the data core. Taiwan moved away from the window and began gathering his diving gear. I know these waters better than anyone. There's a network of underwater caves along this shoreline. We might be able to use them to approach your ship unseen. Daeho's fur patterns shifted to a curious purple. You would help me, even knowing it might put you in danger. You said my whole planet is in danger, Taiwan replied simply. Of course I'll help. While Daeho kept watch on the drone's movements, Taiwan quickly assembled 2 sets of diving equipment. He wasn't sure if Daeho could use human gear, but he prepared it anyway. The drone is moving toward the north side of the island, Daeho reported. We might have a brief window to reach the water on the south side. Taiwan nodded and handed Daeho a waterproof bag. Put anything useful in here, anything that might help us find or access your ship. The alien removed several small devices from hidden pouches in his fur and placed them in the bag. One looked like a smooth river stone but glowed with inner light. Another resembled a thin metallic rod. This will lead us to my ship, Daeho explained, holding up the glowing stone. And this, he said, indicating the rod, might help us access the data core if the ship's systems are damaged. Taiwan peered out the window again. The drone had disappeared around the northern cliff face. Now's our chance. We need to move quickly but stay low. They slipped out the back door of the research station, keeping close to the ground. Daeho moved with surprising speed despite his injuries, his 6 legs giving him excellent balance, even on the rough terrain. They reached the southern beach without being spotted. Taiwan quickly explained his diving equipment to Daeho, who studied it with interest. I can breathe underwater for short periods, the alien told him, but this will help extend that time. As they prepared to enter the water, Daeho suddenly froze. It's coming back, he warned. The drone has completed its sweep of the north shore. Taiwan looked up and saw the metallic disc returning, its red center pulsing more rapidly. Into the water. Now. They waded in quickly, Daeho wincing as the salt water touched his still tender skin. Once they were chest deep, Taiwan pointed to a dark opening in the rocky shoreline, just below the water's surface. That's the entrance to the cave system, he explained. We can use it to travel about half a kilometer north underwater, then exit near where I spotted you yesterday. Daeho's eyes glowed with understanding. Near where my ship went down. Exactly. The drone won't be able to track your energy signature underwater. They took deep breaths and dove beneath the surface just as the drone reached the southern beach. Taiwan led the way into the dark cave opening, switching on his underwater light. The cave system was narrow in places, but Taiwan had explored it many times before. He navigated the twisting passages confidently, checking frequently to make sure Daeho was keeping up. The alien moved differently underwater than Taiwan expected. His 6 limbs worked in perfect coordination, propelling him forward with grace despite his injuries. The bioluminescent patterns on his fur provided additional light in the dark caves. After about 15 minutes of swimming, they'd reached a larger cavern with a pocket of air at the top. They surfaced, taking the opportunity to rest and adjust their equipment. The ship should be directly east of here, about 200 meters from the cave exit, Daho said, consulting his glowing stone device. That's in deeper water, Taiwan warned. Maybe 30 meters down. Can you handle that? Daho nodded. I must. The data core is our only hope of warning my people in time. Taiwan checked his oxygen gauge. We have enough air for about 40 minutes. Let's hope that's enough time to find your ship and retrieve the data. As they prepared to dive again, Daho placed a six-fingered paw on Taiwan's arm. Thank you, his voice said in Taiwan's mind. Few beings in this galaxy would risk themselves for a stranger from the stars. Taiwan smiled behind his diving mask. Maybe that's why the Sky Dominion finds us so threatening. Together, they took deep breaths and descended back into the dark waters, swimming toward the cave exit and the sunken alien ship beyond. While above them, the hunter drone continued its relentless search. Taiwan and Daho swam through the underwater cave system, their lights cutting through the dark water. Small fish darted away as they passed. When they reached the cave exit, they paused, scanning the open water before them. We need to be careful, Daho's voice said in Taiwan's mind. The hunter drone might have underwater sensors. Taiwan nodded and pointed upward. They needed to check if the coast was clear before swimming to the ship. They surfaced just enough to peek above the water. The sky was empty. No sign of the metallic drone. Taiwan gave a thumbs up, and they submerged again. Daho activated his glowing stone device. It pulsed with a soft green light, pointing them toward his crashed ship. They swam deeper into the ocean, the water growing colder and darker around them. To help us communicate better underwater, I need to create a stronger mental link, Daho explained. Do you trust me? Taiwan hesitated only briefly before nodding. He had already committed to helping this alien. There was no turning back now. Daho's eyes glowed brighter, and suddenly Taiwan felt the warm sensation in his mind, like a door opening. Then a flood of images poured in. He saw vast star maps showing thousands of solar systems. He glimpsed strange worlds with multiple suns and rings of glowing matter. He saw spaceships of impossible designs traveling between stars. Most striking were the images of alien beings, hundreds of different species from across the galaxy. Some resembled Earth animals, but with key differences, like Daho. Others were completely unlike anything on Earth, beings of crystal, gas, or energy. I'm sharing some of my knowledge with you, Daho explained. It will help you understand what we're facing. As they continued swimming deeper, Taiwan's mind filled with information about the galactic community, a loose alliance of space-faring civilizations that maintained an uneasy peace. Your species is unique, Daho continued. Most advanced civilizations evolved from predators that hunt alone. They value strength and independence. Cooperation is viewed as a temporary necessity, not a virtue. Images flashed in Taiwan's mind. A reptilian species that fought ritualistic battles for leadership, crystalline beings that communicated by precise vibrations, massive jellyfish-like creatures that drifted through gas giants. But humans evolved differently, Daho explained. You came from social primates. You value empathy and cooperation. You form bonds with other species. Taiwan thought of his own dog back home, how much he cared for the animal that had no biological relation to him. This capacity for cross-species empathy is considered dangerous by many in the galactic community, Daho continued. They fear what humans might become if you join our ranks. Why dangerous? Taiwan asked mentally, surprised to find he could now communicate this way. Because it changes the rules, Daho replied. If species begin to care about each other's welfare regardless of evolutionary origin, it threatens the power structures that have existed for millions of years. Their conversation was interrupted when Daho's device pulsed more rapidly. They had reached their destination. Before them lay Daho's ship, partially buried in the sandy ocean floor. It was smaller than Taiwan had expected, about the size of a small bus. Its shape reminded him of a manta ray, with flowing lines and no sharp edges. The surface was a dark blue-gray material that somehow didn't look quite solid. "The main entrance is damaged," Daho observed. "We'll need to use the emergency hatch." They swam to the underside of the craft where Daho pressed his paw against a seamless section of the hull. The material rippled like water, and an opening appeared. Inside, the ship was dark except for a few blinking lights. Daho led the way through narrow corridors to what appeared to be the control center. Here, several screens displayed alien symbols, and a soft humming sound filled the room. "The ship's systems are failing," Daho explained. "We don't have much time." He swam to a central console and placed his metallic rod device against it. The console lit up, and a compartment opened, revealing a glowing cube about the size of Taiwan's fist. It pulsed with inner light, showing complex patterns that shifted and changed. "This is the data core," Daho said, carefully removing it. "It contains the evidence of the Sky Dominion's plans for Earth, along with navigational coordinates to reach the feline collective." He handed the cube to Taiwan, who placed it carefully in his waterproof bag. "We need to." Daho suddenly went rigid, his eyes wide with alarm. "The drone. It's detected the ship's emergency power activation." They rushed toward the exit, but as they emerged from the ship, a bright red light cut through the water above them. The hunter drone had found them and was hovering over the surface. "Swim for the caves," Daho urged. They had barely moved 10 meters when the water around them heated suddenly. The drone had fired some kind of energy weapon into the ocean. Daho pushed Taiwan aside just as a beam of red energy shot through the water. The beam missed Taiwan but struck Daho directly. The alien's body convulsed, his fur patterns flashing wildly before going dark. A cloud of blood spread in the water around him. Taiwan grabbed his friend before he could sink and pulled him toward the cave entrance. The drone fired again, missing them by inches. The heat from the energy beam was intense even through the water. Through their mental link, Taiwan could feel Daho's pain and fading consciousness. He needed to do something quickly, or they would both be killed. A new understanding flickered in Taiwan's mind, knowledge from Daho about the drone's technology. These hunter drones were designed to track energy signatures, but they had a weakness. Their sensors could be overloaded by certain electromagnetic frequencies. Taiwan looked around desperately. His diving equipment included an emergency beacon, a small device that emitted a powerful radio signal. It wasn't designed for what he had in mind, but it might work. He reached the cave entrance and pulled Daho inside just as another energy beam scorched the water behind them. Once in the relative safety of the cave, he quickly modified his emergency beacon, drawing on both his scientific knowledge and the information Daho had shared with him. The drone hovered at the cave entrance, its red sensor probing the darkness. It seemed reluctant to enter the narrow space. Taiwan activated his modified beacon and threw it out of the cave entrance. It sank slowly in the water, emitting a rapidly oscillating signal that matched the frequency Daho had shown him. The drone immediately turned its attention to the beacon. Its red sensor flashed rapidly, trying to process the conflicting signals. Suddenly, the drone's lights flickered and went dark. It drifted aimlessly for a moment, then sank to the ocean floor. With the immediate threat neutralized, Taiwan turned his attention to Daho. The alien was badly injured, his breathing shallow and his mental presence weak. "Hold on, friend," Taiwan thought as strongly as he could. "I'll get you to safety." With great effort, he swam through the cave system, pulling Daho with him. The journey seemed to take forever, but finally, they'd reached the southern beach where they had entered the water. The sun was setting as Taiwan dragged Daho onto the shore, the data cube still secure in his bag and his alien friend barely clinging to life. Taiwan worked quickly to treat Daho's wounds inside his small research station. The alien had lost a lot of blood, and the energy weapon had burned a large patch of his purple-spotted fur. For 3 days, Taiwan barely slept, using his limited medical knowledge, and Daho's mental instructions to help the injured alien. On the morning of the fourth day, Daho finally opened his eyes fully. The patterns on his fur glowed weakly but steadily. "You saved my life," Daho said into Taiwan's mind. Again. Taiwan smiled with relief. "I think we're even now. You took that energy blast meant for me." Daho slowly sat up, testing his injured limbs. "The data core, is it safe?" "Right here," Taiwan said, showing him the glowing cube that he had kept carefully wrapped in soft cloth. "I haven't tried to open it or anything." "Good." Daho's mental voice grew stronger. "Now I must tell you everything, Taiwan. You deserve the full truth." Over the next few hours, Daho revealed the real history between Earth and the wider galaxy. The feline collective had been secretly protecting Earth from the Sky Dominion for generations. They had established hidden monitoring stations throughout the solar system to watch for signs of the Dominion scout ships. "We believe every species has the right to develop naturally, without interference," Daho explained. "The Sky Dominion believes that empathetic species like humans are evolutionary mistakes that must be corrected." "But why do they hate empathy so much?" Taiwan asked. "Because it threatens their power," Daho said simply. "Most galactic civilizations are built on strict hierarchies and self-interest. A species that genuinely cares about others could change everything." Taiwan looked at the glowing cube. "And this contains proof of their plans?" "Yes, and more. The data core contains coordinates to our hidden outpost in your solar system," Daho explained. "With it, I can summon help and deliver the evidence to the Collective Council." "How do we activate it?" Daho reached out with 3 of his 6 limbs and gently touched the cube. It glowed brighter in response to his touch, the patterns inside shifting more rapidly. "It's done," he said. "The emergency signal has been sent. If all goes well, my people will respond quickly." "And if the Sky Dominion finds us first?" Taiwan asked quietly. Daho's fur patterns flickered anxiously. "Let's hope they don't." For the next 2 days, they waited nervously, watching the skies. Taiwan called his research supervisor to say he was extending his stay on the island to complete some important work. He didn't mention the alien resting in his station or the danger threatening Earth. At sunset on the 3rd day after activating the data core, Taiwan was cleaning Daho's wounds when a strange sound filled the air. It was like a deep musical note that seemed to vibrate through everything. "They're here," Daho said, his mental voice filled with relief. Taiwan rushed outside and looked up. A large ship hovered silently above the beach. It was beautiful, shaped like a teardrop, with a surface that shimmered with colors that reminded him of Daho's fur. A beam of soft light extended from the ship to the ground. 3 figures descended within this light, landing gently on the sand. They were similar to Daho but larger, their fur patterns more complex, and their 6 limbs adorned with what looked like jewelry or technology. Taiwan helped Daho walk outside to meet them. The 3 aliens froze when they saw Taiwan, their fur patterns flashing with surprise. "Greetings," one of them said, their mental voice reaching Taiwan clearly. "I am Captain Hebin of the feline collective vessel Starlight Whisker." Daho made a strange movement with his front limbs that must have been a formal greeting. "Captain, this is Dr. Taiwan Park. He saved my life twice and helped retrieve the data core." The 3 aliens looked at each other, their fur patterns changing rapidly as if they were having a private conversation. Finally, Captain Hebin approached Taiwan and made a graceful bowing motion. "The Collective Council has witnessed your actions through our shared memory network," she told him. "They have voted unanimously to initiate official first contact with humanity." Taiwan blinked in surprise. "First contact? But I thought you've been observing us for decades." "Observing? Yes," Hebin explained. "But we have never officially revealed ourselves to any human government. Your actions have changed everything." The next few weeks were a blur of activity. Taiwan found himself in meetings with world leaders, scientists, and diplomats as humanity came to terms with the existence of alien life. The feline collective presented the evidence of the Sky Dominion's plans to sterilize Earth and offered their protection and alliance. Some people were afraid, others were excited. Many were simply confused. But as the truth spread across the planet, something remarkable happened. People began to set aside their differences, recognizing that the threat from space made their earthly conflicts seem small by comparison. 6 months after rescuing a drowning Leopard from the ocean, Taiwan stood on the deck of the collective flagship orbiting Earth. He wore the formal robes of Earth's first ambassador to the galactic community. Beside him stood Daho, fully recovered and now appointed as the collective's ambassador to Earth. The Sky Dominion has withdrawn their sterilization plans, Daho informed him. Our presenting their secret plans to the Galactic Council embarrassed them greatly. So Earth is safe? Taiwan asked. For now, Daibin replied. But more importantly, the balance of power in the galaxy is shifting. Several other civilizations have been impressed by humanity's rapid adaptation to first contact. They see potential in your species' approach to interspecies relations. Taiwan looked out at the blue-green planet below them. We have so much to learn. Yes, Daho agreed. But you also have much to teach. As it turns out, humanity's greatest strength wasn't your technology or your intelligence, but your capacity to care for beings unlike yourselves. Taiwan smiled as he remembered pulling what he thought was a drowning leopard from the ocean. Sometimes the simplest actions have the biggest consequences. Indeed, Daho said, his fur glowing with warm patterns, and that trait, your empathy, might ultimately transform the course of galactic politics. As Earth began its new role in the wider universe, people everywhere looked up at the stars with new understanding. They were not alone, and their capacity for compassion, even for strange six-legged cats from distant worlds, might be the very thing that saved them. The end.